Hello and welcome to the Newer Central podcast. I'm Meg Benedicte and I'm here with my co-host Mannette Mays.
Hi there,
Welcome,
Megan.
Mannette.
Welcome, everyone. We're glad you could join us.
We're here at this pivotal time in the world, and we thought, well, let's jump on and share what we've been experiencing ourselves and kind of the bigger picture of what's happening and how we can navigate the shift that's happening in the world. It's quite a time to be alive on the planet, isn't it?
It's been interesting, to say the least, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like we're getting light-footed, right? We can just kind of we're learning how to flow. We're learning how to navigate quantum shift happening not only inside us, but also in the world. Like this is beyond, I think, what we're used to, at least for those of us who've been here on the planet for a while. We're getting nimble-footed, aren't we? We're learning how to walk our paths of light while we're experiencing a new paradigm, a new earth, we call it. This is why the show's called New Earth Central, a new world reality, but it's also a new operating system. And so we wanted to talk about that in today's show. This may be new to you in how we present it, but it's how it's been coming up for me watching this over the last 30 years. I'm in the field, I'm watching the patterns, I'm watching the shifts and kind of riding the waves myself. And we literally are at a pivotal point between two very different world systems. To operating systems, kind of think of it like, we're moving from like the old DOS window into the Apple iOS. Like it's a huge upgrade. They're completely different. They don't resemble themselves at all. They also don't cross over. Like there's no meeting point where they cross over at all. They're completely different operating systems. To kind of start off how we experience it and how we perceive it, I'm just going to jump into a quick numerology. We are here in the millennium of the 2000s, and in numerology, two represents the feminine, it represents the goddess, the priestess, the water element, alchemy, intuition. Two is the infusion of the feminine into the world. You may, so we're 26 years into it now, right? So you're already starting to see how that has introduced itself not only into us as modern women, but also into our relationships and our families, right? And our communities and how we live and also our priorities, isn't it? Like, what do we value? And so we're leaving behind a millennium of the one, which is the masculine. So, of course, the thousands was controlled by a hierarchy, a patriarchy. We could consider it like a top down triangle operating system. And we were all born into it, at least those of us who are older than 26 were born into it in the 1900s.
Where we're follow the leader, right? The hierarchies, we always talk about the triangle with the top down, where we had to look outside and we had to follow what was going on, follow the leader in order to survive,
Yeah.
in order to be here, in order to exist. And who you had to pick a master, who you're going to serve, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was everywhere. It was in our homes, right? I had a patriarchal authoritarian father. It was in our religions. It was in school. Everything is structured in a triangle. If you think about it, it was in our corporate jobs, right? All the corporate industries are structured in hierarchies. And so it's so pervasive in our thinking and how we see everything. And when I came out of the corporate world, this was around 2000. It was in 2000. So I'm like, okay, done with the hierarchy, corporate world, into being more self-employed and relying on my own skills and my own, kind of discipline and initiative and all of that. So we are all at a certain stage of that transition as we've gone into the 2000s. And I've talked about how they're so different because I've noticed people are saying we're moving out of a patriarchy, which is the triangle power structure, into a matriarchy with the assumption that that makes women at the top of the triangle power structure. And that's not what it is at all. They don't look the same, they don't operate the same. As we move into the 2000s, the millennium, we're starting to embrace and integrate more feminine qualities. That's the first start right there, right? What are these feminine qualities that we're embracing and integrating? It's inclusive, it's the circle, it's the feminine circle instead of the male triangle. Compassionate, it's community, it's collaborative. What else, Mannette? It's like,
Unity
yes.
consciousness, right? And that's in every person. You have to be united with yourself. You know, that's going to be the trick.
In a way, that's the first step, isn't it? Before you can go and do it with one other person or two other person, right? You exponentially grow your circle. You have to start with yourself first. And so Mannette and I have been going through that process for 20 plus years of kind of deprogramming the hierarchy, the patriarchy, the triangle operating system, moving more into our feminine qualities, really introducing them into everything, isn't it? It's not just ourselves, it's in our health and well-being and our businesses and our relationships, right? It's in our homes, right? We're vibrating with it, right? You know, it's like it's the life force within us, isn't it?
The life force doesn't ask permission quite as much, right? The life force just exists. And I am still in the corporate world, but the way that it's running is far more by consensus.
Yeah.
And the people that are succeeding are the people who are being authentic. They're being who they are at their core while they perform their tasks. And that's presence. And that's something that people can feel. And that's something that people respond to. And that's something that keeps us all in balance and having a good time doing it versus feeling oppressed. And wherever we're finding oppression and that iron grip of patriarchy is where you see things dying. It doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work anymore.
It's collapsing under its own corruption and rot and greed. I work with quite a few clients who are like you, they're still in the corporate world, but they're running teams, which is what you're talking about, right? They're running circular collaboration within the triangle system. I think this is partly how it's spreading. It's going to take over at some point. The hierarchy will no longer be even attractive anymore. And the unity consciousness, the circle, will become our new way of life. In a way, I see it too as it's the replacement of this power system of separation that we were born into. So it's the opposite of isolating and separating and disempowering everyone. It pulls us together, right? You know, they say united, we're stronger together. Well, no kidding, right? You know, it pulls us together, it unites us, and it empowers every single person in that circle, right? Everyone is important. Everyone brings their own special sauce, right? Their own special gift. It makes the whole circle stronger. Whereas the triangle is predatory and extractive of all who are at the bottom tier. It drains and it diminishes and it limits those who are at the bottom tier. It lives off our energy, our life force.
It only works if someone else is losing.
And
that
we're
can't be
talking about everyone wins. It's a win-win in the circle, and in the hierarchy, someone has to lose for them to win.
Yeah. Well, but to get a little deeper into it, you mentioned spending a few minutes or as many minutes as you could stand watching a special about the manosphere, right? And what my immediate feeling about the whole thing was, well, if you hate your mom, just say so. I bring that up to say that what we speak of when we're speaking of authenticity, we're speaking of the power of the meditating to bring you into focus into who you are. Whenever you hear someone espousing hate, distrust, domination, parasitism, scam, all that energy comes from people who don't know who they are. End of story. The wholeness comes from knowing that there's a whole source outside of this little body and that we're all part of it. The part that animates us and makes us who we truly are, and who still remembers why we decided to come to this mud ball in the first place. We have to get to know that source. And that's one of the things that Meg has always been teaching, the tools that she's been giving me and everybody else, is how to come into yourself, how to know yourself, how to trust yourself, how to feel the love and grandness and beauty that that is. And I think when we start off, and I think it's true for most humans, you don't have any understanding of your value. We can't get mad at our parents for not teaching it to us because they didn't know theirs either. We can only teach what we know when we understand. Well, all of us came, we're trying to do the best we can to make this earth beautiful and loving and happy. I always say bring heaven to earth, right? And we have to know who we are to be able to, we have to know our strengths. We don't get to know our strengths in a vacuum either. Knowing our strength comes from spending time in corporate America, spending time with other people, trying to create something. That's how we learn how to get it done. I think what I've been present to and cheering is watching the majority of humans who just really want their families to be happy. They want food on the table. They want a roof over their heads. They want to be comfortable. They want to learn. They want to see art. That's what most people want. But we've the hierarchy to dictate who, what, when, where, and how. And I think we could only do that because we didn't know our own strength. To me, getting rid of that tiny percentage of oppressors isn't hard when you realize, hey, wait a minute, there's 900 of us and there's only 10 of them. What are we afraid of?
Yeah. Well, I agree. And so we talk about this triangle as a power structure, but it's an external one, as you're describing, that is dominating the masses. And so this quantum shift in consciousness that's happening on the planet, this new awareness is we're actually beginning to come into our own power system. And I always use the analogy of like when we start to embody our soul, it's like we're got our plug and we're plugging into our own power source. And it's our beautiful divine self, our soul presence. So we're pulling our energy out of this external, artificial, dominant power system and plugging into our own natural divine power source, right? Our own power source, our soul presence. And once we do that, that's a game changer. Once we do that, nothing out there can ever intimidate what's going on in here because this is divine. This is so strong and fearless and loving, right? It is heaven on earth.
Is a powerful knowing. And it's like when we were little and my grandmother always told us to study and be as smart as we could because no one could ever take our intellect away from us. Well, the same thing with your inner power. Since I've been an adult, I have always been aware of things like creative visualization, the science of mind. I have always been turned my mind and my energy to understanding how I could mold myself and my life through my internal world. I'm very focused on that. But something shifted. Most of those modalities, most of those books, most of those teachers from that time, from the early 80s, 90s, channelers, etc.
Yeah.
That's nice that we have this information that we are all powerful and we can and do be or have or do anything we want, but we're human. Okay, so that isn't, I don't strike that as a limitation. I'm saying that to say our bodies remember the information we got from our parents, well, something that happened to us when we were 5, something we came to know when we were 10 that might not be right. Our bodies don't necessarily forget that because we can intellectualize the steps of creative visualization. So this form of meditation that I learned once I started working with Meg allowed me to make those shifts in my body, in my being, in my soul at a very deep level. And if I could give a testimony, no, my life has changed and become brighter. And I have become more powerful since I turned inside. And learning that method of reaching into spirit through using the vortex and, little help with Meg's energy healing really did pull me out of things I thought I couldn't get out of. She didn't do it for me. She showed me how.
Yeah.
I have a tremendous need to encourage others to do their own work on yourself, work on your spirit, join your soul's energy as soon as you can.
Yes.
It's a wonderful way of being powerful in the world. I'm not saying that the things that we learn externally are in the least bit useless, but your own power source is just so much better.
Well, at least with your own power source, then you can really take all the other modalities or practices to a whole nother level. So starting first with getting in and really connecting in. And I believe that is the message of shifting from the triangle of the hierarchy to the circle of containing first yourself, right? Containing your field, and then containing your life, containing your relationships, all of it, your communities. And we haven't talked too much about the modality that I teach. It's called quantum access, and it is activated by the sacred codes of Metatron's cube. And encoded within Metatron's cube is the circle that contains the triangle. We have been in artificial, unnatural triangle without the containment of the feminine. And so we're shifting into the unification, the mother circle, the feminine circle around the triangle. This is embedded and encoded in Metatron's cube. And this is the new operating system that all of humanity can ascend into, evolve into, and start to live from. And it's like we're flipping on its head the old, outdated power structure with this new, feminine, contained circle of wholeness, of oneness, of balance, of the masculine and feminine, of the integration of the masculine and feminine. Without it, we're missing pieces, aren't we? We need all of that active in us, and then in our little circles, and then our bigger circles.
Yeah. And the more you join your own circle, the more you pull in other people who will
Yes.
support your circle, and the easier things get. Sometimes, not that I relish it when it happens, but to be able to use that still point in work and with relationships teaches us not to take things personally. It teaches us to accept, look at the mirror and see, okay, how can we make this better? How can I bring this into wholeness, into coherence? And that part, after years of working with it, has just gotten faster and easier and faster and easier. I always say it's like the internet. We don't have to wait for that squeak on the dial-up anymore. It's just, you push the button and it's on.
It is. And what I love too about the circle analogy, if you can kind of get that in your visualization, is okay, so no one's greater or less than, right? Everyone, it's an equal playing field. Everyone is a part of the greater whole. Everyone's bringing their gift. Everyone has a gift. Everyone's bringing their piece to the fabric of that quilt of the circle, where when we really start to live in it, we're removing barriers and artificial boundaries of separation, right? All of that, that's what we're seeing actually out in the world right now, is this kind of a juxtaposition between those in the triangle that want to hold the hard boundaries, right, and fight over it, and wars over this. This is insane. And then those of us who are already in the circle, and we're like, no, we don't want anything separating each other. We need to remove and we need to unite, because we're stronger when we're united together. And we need to learn how to collaborate with each other, for God's sake. We're talking about world peace. Mannette and I do global meditations every month, and everyone who comes on from all around the world, everybody wants world peace. We do not want these wars over barriers and boundaries and oil. I mean, like, the whole thing is insane. We want unification. We want safe, loving communities. We want collaboration. We want the highest good for all.
And when you see it that way, but superiority is a heck of a drug, right? There's all kinds. Some people want to be religiously superior. You want to be racially superior. You want to be financially superior. You need to find something that, if you're looking outside, how am I better? How am I better? If I'm not better than somebody else, why you got to be better? Why is that even necessary? Again, we go back to when you have to reach out for something external to make you feel safe and to make you feel whole and to make you feel better. That means you're not plugged into your source.
That's their value, is that whatever is this kind of artificial external characteristic they thought up of is creating some sense of a value that doesn't hold at all. It all has to come from within.
Yeah. They're trying to require other people to see their superiority. Well, you see I'm better than you, right? You see that I'm smarter than you, right? You see that I have more money than you. So if you're going to try to be like me, then you're going to have to do what I say.
And this is just not working anymore. And I think that's what we're seeing even in this astrology. And so we're in the early stages of 2026, and we're already seeing this movement of outer planets into 0 degrees Aries. It's the start of entire new cycle, new zodiac cycle. We've got Saturn, Neptune, who moved into 0 degrees Aries last month, and now just in a couple of days we've got the sun moving into 0 degrees Aries in what we call the spring equinox here in the northern hemisphere. And so this is still happening. This is not, we're not through it yet. It's still going on. Then in April, we have the new moon in Aries. It's like it's just building and building and building. Oh my goodness.
How are we going to survive?
I don't know.
But I think one of the reasons we've been encouraged to put this message out on a broader range is because we cannot physically do anything about people who want to wage a war. I cannot physically stop somebody from building a bomb. I can't physically stop somebody from sending a bomb. I can stand on the corner and scream till I turn purple that this shouldn't happen or that shouldn't happen. That's not how we get this done. Part of our unity is if Meg's tapped into her, I'm tapped into me, the people we care about are tapped into them, and we create this volume of high vibe truth. We're building that for the entire planet. We're raising the vibration of the entire planet. And that will take us out of the space where things like war and oppression can even exist. They won't be able to grow here. And I think going to the source is how we get it done.
In our global meditations, we really work as transmitters, receivers, right? We're sending the signal out into the collective field of world peace, where we are promoting this new earth circle system, because it's replacing a system of separation. Not only does it bring us into connection with each other all around the world, but it's also bringing us back into connection with Mother Earth, right? With nature, with the cosmos. So it's like we've all been little islands, separate, right? And alone and isolated. Now we're all starting to reconnect with our soul's power source, reconnect with each other, hearts to hearts, right? You know, it's a heart-led system, the circle system, Mother Circle, connecting to Mother, connecting to Mother Earth, connecting to nature, and really beginning to get that awareness. We can't survive if we aren't taking care of our planet. Like, we're at the precipice of existential extermination, right? So this is both a spiritual and a physical issue. This is literally real. We have to take it seriously. And first and foremost, we connect back to nature ourselves. That's where we start. And then we promote through our spending, right, and our sharing, what are products and industries that are also taking care of Mother Earth. Like, this becomes a priority for all of us, that we're no longer operating in that isolation, separation mindset. There are consequences to everything we do, and we begin to become aware of that. Okay, if I do this, like I was even almost threw out, it was a plastic bottle of bath wash, right? You know, last night I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, no, this has to be recycled. We start to think in the new awareness. I am one with my soul, with each other, with Mother Earth, and with nature. And we begin to take care of the water and the air and the trees and plants and, you know, all of this. It's a whole new priority, a whole new awareness, and a whole new way of living. I think that for many, we weren't used to doing that, and we're talking about value. Taking care of our planet needs to be one of our values.
Oh, absolutely. It's one that you taught. It's a form of self-respect. The same way you take care of yourself, you take care of your environment.
Yeah, it's so true. And so what I'm seeing happening is we can't think of ourselves as separate from anything anymore. We start to see that the field of Mother, Father, God is moving through us, and we're part of the field, and we're influencing the field with what we send out, our signals we put out into the field. We begin to move into, again, a circular movement of integration with all that's around us. And it changes how we think and act, doesn't it? Our
I have,
priorities.
when you were describing that, I was remembering when we do the global intentions, because it's my job to read the intentions. So, with a great honor, when I see what our members have taken the time to write and what they feel in their hearts and what they're coming to share, so precious. Just to know that there are that many other beings, especially like you said, South Africa, France, Belgium, Australia. People are staying up in the middle of the night to
Yeah.
join into that point in time. It's valuable. And I have seen
Moving.
things change since we
Yeah,
started doing it.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree. And it's, we all have our ways to contribute, right? This is coming into the Mother Circle and collaborating and contributing and bring, our special gift and these global meditations that Mannette and we started in 2011, for God's sake. It's amazing. And it has also evolved over the years. And we're just really thrilled if you can join us and contribute to this huge quantum shift into the new circular operating system. Our next one, real quick to throw out to all of you who are listening to us, is coming soon, and it's going to be on Friday, March 20th. It's the Aries equinox. And we're going to work in the field. We're going to work both on personal and planetary activations and transformations. And if this is something that is new to you and you feel a calling, we'd love it if you could join us. You come to our website, newearthcentral.com, and you can sign up, and we hope to see you there. And it's just a joy always to be in the flow with you, Mannette, my dear, every time we come together like this. And then also to bring all of you into our little sacred space here together. We're living the circle now. We're living this new system. We are in the new earth. It is real. It is waiting for you. And so we hope you join us again in the future. Until then,
I would just encourage everybody. It's about the validation of it. We all have had sweet, happy, wonderful thoughts of a beautiful earth and a beautiful world. Sometimes we'll feel warm and fuzzy. This allows us to know that there's more people out there with the same ideas. You're not alone with your ideas. Once I even had someone was trying to write to me during the meditation. They said, "Wait, how many other people are here?" I was like, yeah, there's a bunch of us. You're not the only one. There's a bunch of us who really believe that we're meant to sort of restore the Garden of Eden.
okay, with that, until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.